Okay, let's dive in to step number 7, which is the mixing phase. I love mixing. It's so much fun because you get to really narrow things down. You get to maximize what you have, which I love that concept. I love taking things that are already in existence and squeezing everything you can out of it, making the best of what you have, and that it is really what the process of mixing and mastering is all about, and that is what we're going to talk about in step 7. Now, most of you watching this would not have known this if I didn't bring this up, but I'm going to be very transparent and honest in the fact that this is actually a redo, a complete overhaul of the seventh step, just this mixing step here. So when I initially made the course, I went through all the 6 steps plus the 7th step. I released the course. I got my first few members inside the program, and everything was fine, right? But then once I had some time to reflect and to think about, okay, how can I improve this course? Because that's always what I'm trying to do with every product I make. It's not one and done. I'm always looking for ways to improve it. And then when I asked myself that question, I realized, or it began to dawn on me, that step 7 was really lacking in a few key areas. And the reason it was lacking was sort of because of a nonchalant approach, a lack of structure approach that I initially had with step 7. And that was actually part of the appeal. That was kind of my strategy, because my point at the time was, let's not get too hung up on structure and details. I just want to show you how to take a song from start to finish. I don't want to get into the weeds on mixing. I just want to show you how it's done, give you an overview and a basic understanding of it, and then you can move on with your life. The problem was my mix wasn't that great. It didn't turn out very well. And I look back and I was like, when I listened back to the song a few weeks after the initial release of the course, I was like, man, I need to do a better job with this mix. And I need to teach it better. I need to structure it better. And so that's why I'm doing a complete overhaul, a complete redo of the 7th step, where I'm taking much more of a strategic approach. There is much more differentiation between the production phase, which we have just spent a bunch of time in steps really 4, 5, and 6. And then step 7 is all about the mixing phase. And although obviously everything is connected, I wanted to really think about, okay, how can I make this maximally helpful and to where you can take as much as possible away from this course and really benefit the most from it. And I was like, I need to teach mixing the right way. I need to go through and actually take a more strategic approach. And so what I'm going to do now is actually, what I did is I basically took all the plugins, or the majority of the plugins, off of the tracks in the session, and then I exported those as stems. And so what we are going to be starting from in this mix is kind of from scratch. We are going to use the raw, dry stems with, now a few of the tracks have a bit of EQ. I left some compressors on, some EQs on. But for the most part, these are super dry stems, which is going to make this process super fun, because now we can build this from the ground up. And this is much more like when someone sends you a mix. If you work as a mixing engineer for somebody else, they're going to send you a bunch of stems. And sure, they might send you some process stems. A lot of what you're probably going to start with are dry, very raw sounding stems. And then the game becomes, how do you mix it? How do you maximize what you have and take your song on this mixing journey and make it sound really good, really polished, really killer at the end of it? Well, that is what I'm going to teach you how to do in step 7. So I am pulling the curtain back. I am readjusting my approach. So let's dive in, my friend. Now, you can download the raw stems and follow along, which you can find in the download section somewhere on this page, wherever you're watching this. Those are the exact stems that I am using, that I'm starting this mix on. And then we are going to go ahead and mix the song, and you are going to watch this process happen and watch it unfold. I'm very excited. I hope you're excited to dive in. So let's go. Here is step 7, the mixing phase of the 7 steps process.